Hello, it is Tuesday, March 21st, 2023. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to the New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It is a Tuesday puzzle today, and that means another relatively gentle early week themed crossword, hopefully. And this relatively gentle early week edition of the Daily Solve has been brought to us by Mitchell Turek, Jenny Montague, Lewis Williams, and, as always, the invaluable Timothy Mark and the indomitable Showmaster. So thank you so much to the five of them, benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign, for their generous support in sustaining this channel, bringing us this particular edition of the Daily Solve and keeping this whole thing going. I do very much appreciate that, as I appreciate the contributions of everybody who has become a patron of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign. And if you'd like to become one yourself as a benefactor, for instance, you can get the Daily Solve Let's Check the Crosses mug, or as a patron at any level, you can get access to all of the bonus videos that have gone up on the channel to date, as well as the new ones that go up each week. And you can find that at patreon.com/dailysolve or in a link in the description field underneath the video. Again, thank you to everybody who is a patron. And thank you if you've subscribed to the YouTube channel. Please do so if you've not yet. That does help out if you've been enjoying these videos. And tell a friend. Haven't mentioned that in a while, but consider recommending this channel if you've been enjoying it. And finally, you can also join the Daily Solve Discord chat server. Nice, friendly chat community. All right, there's a link in the description field to that as well. So let's get on to today's crossword. This was constructed by Michael Lieberman, about a dozen puzzles to his name, and it was edited, as always, by Will Shorts. So let's start solving, shall we? Let's see what's in store for us in this themed puzzle. Annual destination of about 2.5 million pilgrims. My first guess is Mecca. I mean, it could be something else, but that would be my assumption. Let's check the crosses and see if we can find that. Step on it. All right, so here's an example of a particular category of clue with an exclamation point. And generally what this means is it means the clue will be something that we could say about the answer rather than defining the answer or being a synonym of it. So you could step on a mat. About a mat, you could say step on it. If you're being oddly sort of, I don't know, explanatory about mats. Announcement from a flight attendant for short could be an estimated time of arrival. A flight attendant could announce what time the flight is meant to arrive. So Mecca's looking pretty good here. Iconic San Francisco transport. How appropriate, given I'm in San Francisco this very week. San Francisco has the iconic cable cars. And where for Dracula, a cloak maybe, or capes possibly, pluralized. Cloak. Let's see if that works. Even a little bit, yes. If something happens even a little bit, it happens at all. So cloak looks correct there. And if you have not just some of something, perhaps you have a lot of it. And if something is happening not just yet, it's happening later. So there we go. What about this? We have the word taboo. Injury that's so embarrassing, no one is allowed to mention it. A taboo boo-boo, maybe? I wonder if that's what's going on with the theme. I'm just wondering. So this clue has a question mark, and in addition, it's located in this particular position, and it's a relatively long answer. And once you've solved enough New York Times crosswords, you start to recognize that this is very frequently the first of several thematic answers in the crossword. So here's one. I bet this will be another. Yes, it also has a question mark. I bet another will be here. Yes, there's a question mark. And finally, this is probably the revealer. Oh, no, maybe not. This is just one more of those, possibly. In any case, it looks like some kind of thematic pattern here. And I wonder if we're going to be repeating the second half of each of these words. Result of forgetting to pack a toothbrush for a Doha vacation. I don't know what that is offhand. I need more help to get there. But here we have a possibly glitchy software release, could be a beta release of a particular piece of software. Broccoli tops are florets, the sort of flower bits of broccoli. Southeast Asian language could be Lao. And a police department alert could be APB, an all points bulletin, an alert sent out to in a sort of manhunt situation. What the acorn said when it grew up in a classic math joke. I don't know. This doesn't ring a bell offhand. What about this? Array outside the United Nations headquarters. Well, there's an array of flags outside the headquarters of the United Nations. That seems likely the answer. And gin flavoring slow. You have slow gin is a fruit based gin sort of flavoring. And then a place to clip a wireless mic. You might clip a wireless mic to your lapel, a sort of lavalier mic, for instance. So, what did the acorn say when it grew up in a classic math joke? I don't know. I just have no idea. One of clubs. Don't know about that either. Actress Greer of action films. Pam Greer. Yeah, there we go. That's certainly correct. And Survivor host Jeff. I actually don't know that I've ever seen Survivor, believe it or not. I don't know. Spanish grandmother, an abuela, I would think. Uh, and something to reflect on, a mirror, surely. That seems like a fairly straightforward pun. The question mark lets us know it's a bit of a pun or some wordplay. But let's check the crosses. Softball stat. RBI? I mean, I know that's a baseball stat. Perhaps it's a softball stat as well. Here we have Taylor Swift's blank song. I don't know, but it looks like our song, maybe. I bet that's the answer. And one of clubs. What is that? I don't know. I can't. Sometimes when you get these pun answers, the problem is I don't know which reading of the clue is meant to be the more obvious one, and therefore I don't know what reading is meant to be the pun. So I don't know if this is meant to be referring to clubs as in a suit of cards, or clubs as in golf clubs, or clubs as in organizations. I don't know. It's no walk in the park. A trek, maybe? So a walk in the park maybe being used here to indicate a sort of easy walk, whereas a trek would be a more grueling walk. I'm not sure. Largest in a set of kitchen measurers. Tablespoon is bigger than a teaspoon, I guess. I'm not sure if that's what that's looking for. Tampa Bay footballer familiarly. Buccaneers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that sounds familiar. Ancient alphabet character, could be a rune, an ancient rune. And a big bungle could be a snafu from US military slang, situation normal, all fouled up, or something stronger than fouled. End of story. End of story. Period. There you go. You could say, yes. Period. Full stop. End of story. Cast a wide net, maybe. Can't see it immediately. Fixed share of work. Quota. Quota is a sort of fixed target for work. Oh, result of forgetting to pack a toothbrush for a Doha vacation. Cutter tartar. There we go. All right, my suspicion was correct based on taboo boo boo. We are indeed repeating the last syllable of the first word in each of these. In fact, we're repeating it two more times. So, Qatar tartar is the result of forgetting to pack a toothbrush for a Doha vacation. Very good, very clever. Okay, Blank Patrol, Nickelodeon show. Paw Patrol, I've heard of that. Some sort of children's show. I assume it's about dogs. Palindromic poetic preposition, air, which means before in sort of poetic language. All right, conical dwelling could be a teepee. Um, that looks correct. And what did the acorn say? I just cannot figure out what the acorn said. I don't know. Sorry. Apologies if you're jumping straight to that. Avoid a collision at the last second so you could swerve out of the way. And 100% vegan cosmetics brand. I don't know. I mean, Avita, I think that's a cosmetics brand. Wasn't aware it was vegan, but that might be the answer. I'm not sure if it is. Childbirth assistant, a doula. So maybe it is a Vita. To a greater degree, if something happens to a greater degree, it happens more so. Looks like Oslo. Home to the Munch Museum. So that'd be Edvard Munch, the artist. So Oslo. There we go. And one of clubs. Oh, a member of a club. So it is club as in kind of voluntary association. And then Jeff Probst. I mean, Probst or Probst. I mean, that is a name. So that looks plausible. Oh, oh, geometry. What the acorn said when it grew up in a classic math joke. It said geometry or geometry. There we go. Very clever. Very good sort of dad joke there. Soldier's affirmative soldier could say yes, sir. And figure on the cover of Action Comics #1, Superman. That was sort of the classic Superman comic where he's about to throw a car or something like that. Societal woes, the woes of society, the ills of society, you might say. And emanations from the sun could be the sun's rays. The scene of chaos could be what? A total mess, I suppose? And blank Christmas, Merry Christmas. It's a bit of a gimme. Earthy pigment ochre, maybe the hue, the color. And creepy crawlies. I'm not sure. Oops, what about this? Fruit whose name precedes fruit in the name of another fruit. Uh, Grape. Oh, right, clever. Grape, because grape is a fruit, and grapefruit is strangely a completely different fruit. Right, very clever clue. Bars to be scanned in brief. A UPC, the kind of barcode on products that you can scan. High blank photo could be high res or high def for high resolution or high definition. I'm not sure which it is. This is probably an R. This looks like murmur. Yes, indistinct muttering from a ring-tailed primate. A lemur murmur? There it is. So you could have a ring-tailed lemur, and then of course we repeat the mur from lemur to make a lemur murmur. There we go, the indistinct muttering, very good. Creepy crawlies. I don't think this is ochre, is it? Because this looks like bugs. Creepy crawlies could be bugs. And if something matches up, it syncs, it synchronizes with something else, and then high res photo rather than high def. Oh, umber, as in burnt umber, a sort of crayon color I remember from childhood, I guess. Soccer legend Mia Hamm is a soccer player of whom I've heard. And Pittsburgh-based giant in the metals industry. That I do not know offhand, I must say. Plant in some juices and lotions. I suspect this is the official medicinal plant of the New York Times crossword, which is aloe. Okay, artery opener. Stents could be used in a medical context to keep an artery open, so I think that's probably the answer. And if something's appealing to self-indulgent impulses, what is that? It's I'm not. It's really bothering me that I can't get that offhand, but I can't. Organization that uses Zambonis. So it uses Zambonis. So Zambonis, that's a brand of sort of ice refinisher. It sort of refinishes an ice surface, I think. So the NHL, the National Hockey League, would use Zambonis. Tick blank dough, bygone game show. I, I don't know. I've never heard of this, but I assume it's tic tac dough, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's something else funnier. I better not put that in because I'm not sure. Um, oh, is Alcoa? That's it. That's a corporation. Is that a Pittsburgh-based giant in the metals industry? I think it plausibly might be. If you searched exhaustively, you scoured a particular area, for instance. And Blank of Hearts, tart stealing Wonderland character. Um, I don't remember. The Knave of Hearts, maybe? think it might be the Knave of Hearts, the Jack of Hearts in other language. School in Charlottesville. Oh, UVA, University of Virginia, maybe? Astronaut Jemison, Mae Jemison is an astronaut, right? And lieu, stead, so in lieu of, instead of something else or somebody else. So, okay, so, oh, decadent, appealing to self indulgent impulses, something sort of decadent and indulgent. There we go. Oh, this looks like cha cha cha. Cuban dance performed at a Russian villa, a dacha cha cha. There we go. So, a dacha is a sort of Russian villa, Russian kind of holiday home. Many Russians own dachas, kind of usually, for most people, relatively modest holiday homes. And of course, the cha-cha is a dance. So there we go. The Cuban dance performed at a Russian villa. So this is tic-tac-toe after all. And then what else? Cast a wide net. Oh, fishes. I see. You cast a fishing net. Okay, fair enough. That was simpler than I was making it in my head. Snazzily dressed, you're dapper, maybe? And U.S. state with nearly 34,000 miles of shoreline. Looks like Alaska to me. It seems plausible. Give support in efforts to acquire a loan. Say you could co-sign a loan to sort of endorse it. Now the penultimate Greek letter is psi. There we go. Heart test readout for short, EKG electrocardiogram, I think, something like that. And if you competed in marathon, you ran. Finally, if one made the grade, one passed an exam. And finally, antlered animals are elks. So there we go. That was the Tuesday crossword. I think that was a relatively gentle crossword. And let's go over our very, very amusing and ridiculous and slightly whimsical theme today. These series of kind of triplicate syllables here. So the injury that's so embarrassing, no one is allowed to mention it, is the taboo boo-boo. It's just so absurd. The result of forgetting to pack a toothbrush for a Doha vacation is our Qatar tartar. Um, the Cuban dance performed at a Russian villa is a dacha cha cha. And finally, the indistinct muttering from a ring-tailed primate is a lemur murmur. A very nice and slightly whimsical theme from Michael Lieberman dealing with this reduplicative syllable. These are some good finds. Taboo Boo Boo is a good first one because it's sort of the most ridiculous, arguably, of any of these. I mean, it just looks absurd. So yes, there we go. That was our Tuesday crossword, and I think relatively gentle solve. Other than that, but let me know how you fared. I'm always curious to know in the comments or in the Discord channel or wherever. But that was that. That was the Tuesday crossword, and no time, unfortunately, for clues from yesterday's puzzle. Right now, I'm actually solving this very late at night, the night before, because I have an early morning tomorrow. But that's that for today's Tuesday crossword. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back tomorrow for the Wednesday crossword, a midweek, mid-difficulty solve. So do join me for that. But until then, please do have an excellent remainder of your Tuesday. Take care.